players now, it's a thing. Active players have podcasts. I don't understand why players would do podcasts during a season. It would drive me insane as a team president, and there's not one thing I could do about it. I can't legislate what players do on their off time. I can participate in it from time to time, but I can't legislate against it. Players are very smart. Careers are very short. Very smart to try to get a microphone and a platform and try to build it and try to figure out if you can be Kelsey. Micah Parsons has a podcast. And what's interesting is that players, now that they have their own way to disseminate information, they really don't need the beat writers anymore the way they used to. They don't need to get word out through anybody else's mouth. They basically can get word out through their own platform, through their own mouth at the exact time they want to do it. Most players are in very good control of what they're doing. When Micah Parsons took to the microphone a couple days ago, it is impossible for me to believe that he didn't know the storm he would create. When you have a group of people in front of your locker, you can control what you say, and you can control how you say it. You know, if you're a Cowboys player, you're going to be asked about the sun. You know, if you're a Cowboys player, you're going to be asked about Mike McCarthy. Micah Parsons sat down. Actually, I think he was standing up. I want you to listen to what he said, and then I want to talk about the problem with what he said. Sarah, will you play Micah Parsons, please?
Above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But, all coaching aside, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys I kind of feel bad for is guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last show on their way out, because that's what I wanted to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
He then had to apologize for what he said and backtrack on what he said and gaslight us on what he said. And he did it in an interesting way, of course, on his podcast. He had to meet with the coach after so the coach could then give his quote, which he did. He said, when something does create questions for others in the locker room, something that I've always done, a conversation has to happen. So Mike and I had a conversation this morning, handled those things as men should handle it. I think that's old white man speak, but as men should handle it, I always thought that meant fisticuffs. Let's settle this like a man. Boop. The old Alexis on Schitt's Creek. Is that what Mike McCarthy did to Micah Parsons? It sort of touched him in the nose. Boop. I don't know exactly what that means as men handle it. Maybe they just had a conversation where he said, Micah, what are you doing? And I would ask, if I were the GM of the team, which Jerry Jones should be doing, what was the purpose? I always wanted to learn from the players. When you say something, tell me what is the provenance of what you said. You obviously have a reason, and let's talk about it and see if we can clean this up. So what they came up with is what Parsons said after on his show, which is, listen, I didn't expect this to be negative. Why would I want that to be perceived negatively? I actually thought it would be positive, what I was saying about my teammate and brother, Zach Martin, this Ring of Honor Hall of Fame guy. That's who I was talking about. It was all about the veterans and how disappointed I am that we can't hoist the Lombardi Trophy for them. But how is that point? And you should think about this whenever you are talking to the media or whenever you're talking to your friends or your boss. Make sure that what you say is somehow forwarding the agenda of what your intention is and what you mean and what you want. What I mean by that is every sentence should be purposeful. When you're building a case for something, in this case, we're to believe that the Micah Parsons case was for Zach Martin to be recognized for the great career he's had and how upset he is that they've never won with Zach Martin. What does talking about Mike McCarthy and how he can go wherever he wants and he hasn't been around for a long time, I'm just curious, what in his mind, how does that further people focusing on Zach Martin? It has the opposite impact, actually. It truly instead puts the focus on, wow, we've got an issue with the coach. There's an issue in the clubhouse. Mike McCarthy must be dead coach walking. Why wouldn't Jerry Jones just do it now and be done with it? It leads to the speculation of Deion Sanders. It leads to the speculation of Rex Ryan, who went crazy against Micah Parsons. The frustrating part as an executive is that this is a self-inflicted distraction for a team that is so in need of something positive. It forces both management and the player to keep a story going. You can't tourniquet it because you have to explain it, and it won't go away if you don't. And your explanation, however rehearsed it was, frankly, made it worse. Pay attention to that. It happens more often than you'd actually believe, and it certainly does surprise me. My take on it, just so you know, is that he should be getting slammed for what he said. He's upset that people are slamming him. And this is not me in any way defending McCarthy, nor telling you that McCarthy shouldn't be fired, because he should be, along with the GM of the team. But the reason why I'm upset is that Parsons should know better.